Donald Trump ran on vibes in 2016. He won on vibes. But the vibes right now, the momentum on the vibes at least, are leaning heavily toward Kamala Harris, which interestingly means that you have a lot of analysts saying don't lean so much on the policy to her, lean more on your personality. That being said, if you read about any analytical piece today, any strategist piece today, all of them are saying if you're going to talk about one policy, talk about cost of living, which is what we're going to hear from Harris when we have the podium up. She might be a little bit earlier than 2:45. We're told, so we're going to keep our eyes on this. She's going to talk about cutting taxes for the middle class. She's going to talk about housing, a new initiative to get people money for their down payments, also to add more housing to this country. Healthcare, we heard a little bit yesterday about prescription drug prices, lowering grocery costs, this price gouging at the grocery store. I'm not sure how you define that. I'd love to get an answer from somebody on the campaign. But this is clearly showing that she's listening to the polls. She sees what people care about.
Yeah, I think she's hitting people right where they live with respect to the policy prescription she's putting forward. Now, whether or not you can identify and define price gouging in a meaningful way and then either legislate or regulate it away is an open question.
Can I finish, Simone? Will you just shut up for a minute and let me finish?
Pardon me, sir. You don't get to tell me to shut up on national television.
We don't tell people to shut up on this show.
So the American media is pretty excited about Kamala Harris's new price gouging plan, where she's going to stop price gouging. She's not going to explain who's price gouging, where it's happening, or exactly what she's going to do with this. But she's got some plans. Price controls, totally real, totally serious, a completely real and serious thing, and not just an attempt to convince stupid people to vote for her. Unfortunately, you saw their exuberance there over the idea that a plan might be announced. But watch what happens when reality accidentally creeps its way on to a CNN set.
Catherine, I read your piece and I heard you just mention it. The federal ban on price gouging for groceries. You are skeptical of this. Why?
Well, first of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. It's like that old line about pornography. I know it when I see it. In the sense that what does it mean to have an excessive price or an excessive profit margin? That seems to be shorthand for a price or a profit margin that bugs me. That seems too high. So, it's very hard to pin down what this would actually mean. If you look at the legislation that, as I mentioned, is already in the Senate, led by Senator Warren and Senator Bob Casey and a slew of others, the particular way that this is written, which is likely to be the template for any proposal that Harris would eventually embrace, is especially bad in that it just bans excessive prices, grossly excessive profit margins, and says that the Federal Trade Commission can use any metric it deems appropriate to decide what that would mean. Which basically says, like, it's not going to be markets, it's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in D.C., which seems like totally unworkable, first of all, for the FTC to be deciding, like, how much Kroger charges for eggs in Michigan. But it also would be very bad for markets. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets, plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices because of some of the other language in it. Things like requiring public companies to disclose in their quarterly reports, their quarterly earnings reports, how they're setting prices, which is a great way to help them collude, which normally we don't want them to do. So anyway, the devil's in the details, I guess, for that bill, but it's really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot of harm.